Some spicy gameplay reveal has come out today, kind of going through an entire siege between Cathay and Tzeentch. And this is a pretty fun little video that we're going to go through together. It's about 9 minutes long, and I'm just going to press play. We're going to watch it together as a team, and I'm going to pause it here and there. We'll talk about certain mechanics and so on and so forth. And essentially what this video is going to be doing is it's going to go through a siege against the Great Bastion Wall. It kind of opens up with talking about how this siege wall we see before us is a fortress that is set into the wall, and how this is one of the gates that we will be taking care of, one of the 3 gates as Cathay. And then the sieging force is again going to be Kairos Fateweaver, leading a Tzeentchian demon army and besieging the wall. So if you've been following everything up to this point, you know, all the siege reveals, the mechanics for both Tzeentch, Kislev now, and Cathay, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. There is nothing new in this video that you have not already seen in some variation, shape, or form already. Some highlights of this video, though, that you will be able to see. You'll be able to see Miao Ying's actual transformation go through, which is pretty cool. You're going to see some spell effects as well as their names, which is kind of nifty. Also, we get a full confirmation that the barrier for the Tzeentch demons, or Tzeentch's forces, is very similar to a StarCraft II Protoss Zealot shield. So whenever they get attacked, that shield will eat up first before it actually chunks into their HP, from what it looks like in the description both of the blog and this video here today. In addition to, I guess you can see the artillery pieces kicking off. It is cool to see the Soul Grinder, which looks to be ranged for Tzeentch, and I'll show that off when we actually jump into his combat. But there's a cool part where the Tzeentchian Soul Grinder fights a Sentinel, which is pretty nifty. But if that's really all you wanted to know and find out what this video is about, that's really all you need to know, and you're free to shut the video down if you so wish. Before you do, though, please don't forget to like, comment, and or subscribe. I always like to upfront that information for someone that doesn't want to stick through the 10, 15, 20-minute news videos. So that way, at least you have the opportunity to go about your day if you so wish. But for those that do want to stick around, let's have some fun here today. Because like I was saying, it's cool to see some information about the spells and also get a sense of scale for Kairos Fateweaver. There is another Tzeentchian Greater Demon in the mix of his army, so we get a sense that he is a much larger Greater Demon than even a normal Tzeentch boy. Let's get going. Let's have some fun here today. And if you have not yet pre-ordered Total War Warhammer 3, you know the drill, guys. You can head on down to the link in my description for my Nexus Store. They get those keys directly from the developer, and they get them directly to you, which is a great way to also support the channel here. So let's dive in on the Cathay and Tzeentch gameplay reveal. And let's go ahead and just press play. And I'll actually keep the volume a little bit lower. Right here. A little bit lower even. So we can already see some fun stuff, right? And I do have to make a quick little distinction here. This video is in 1080p, and my monitor is 1440p. So you're going to see some really rough and jagged edges here and there. And it's also just a symptom of the fact that I'm blowing up a 1080p video onto a 1440p monitor. So I don't know how this will look on your monitor playing it in 1080p. So I want to make that distinction, because when I was watching this, I was like, God, this is kind of rough looking. Then I put it into Premiere and realized that it was a 1080p video. I was like, oh, okay, well, it's just going to get distorted by the virtue of me full screening on a 1440p monitor. So again, we can see some cool fun stuff here. I'm actually going to jump back right to this. You can see some action happening in the sky. Like just looking at how the range damage for Tzeentch works is pretty sweet. I really like that. Sometimes I won't have anything to say. Most of the times I will, because I just rant all the time. We'll just kind of keep chunking through this. I'll bring this down a little bit lower, I think. So there's no... It's cool too to see some of the charging animation. You saw those bursts of the shields, the weird jankety animations of those Jade Warriors right there. They're running like, oh god. And again, this is the Great Bastion, one of the gates. There are apparently a lot of different style of sieges that we'll be hopefully seeing in the future, but this is just one of them. And ooh, we also get evidence here of one of the mount options for the heroes. I can't remember if it was the Astromancer that can ride. I think it's the Astromancer that can ride the Wujing War Compass, and we see that happening right now. I don't think that this is just a standard Wujing War Compass. I believe this actually is one that is mounted with a hero. So we get to see that ox driven and everything. And I do love the layers of all this, right? How you have got these arching pathways, these staircases and everything like that that kind of create these choke points and firing angles for you. It's very reminiscent of what we get with the new Empire Keep system, right? Where we get all these kind of overlapping layers, but this is just kind of done up to the 10th degree, which I love, right? I love that you get so many more avenues and places of defense. And this looks, I mean, when I first saw this, that's a really good picture right there. When I first saw the wall, this is clearly a different portion of it, right? This is a different siege map. You've got 1, 2, 3, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 gates to defend. And obviously too, you kind of get this part right here where it is cut off from this main front portion. So almost like a keep in the background area where you've got these overpasses, these little kill avenues and stuff like that. So even just looking at this map, which doesn't seem like the Bastion map we're talking about in the majority of this gameplay. I think it switches between 2 or 3 maps throughout this whole video. That's a pretty awesome siege right there. So I want them to show us more of those bigger badass maps. Cool thing too, right there, we can see the way that she just kind of moves about the map. I think that we're going to see that a lot more, right? We haven't seen how Kosteltian moves in the map, but we've seen how Tsarina Katarine moves. She has the same kind of effect with the little ice block kind of churning around behind her. So I think the Legendary Lords are going to have these very dynamic moving animations. And I wonder how that's going to translate to a lot of the older moving animations for the older lords, right? I mean, they're just kind of walking around on foot. Meanwhile, she's hovering about, shooting lightning all over the place. It's a lot of static electricity. She touched someone's going to zap their nipples off. Ooh, is that just a normal Wujing War Compass right there? No, it seems to be also mounted by a character as well. So I just wanted to see if we see a normal one and if that doesn't have a character there or not. Again, the ox-driven artillery pieces with the rockets, having some fun here. More of the Jade Warriors. Guys, I can't get enough of those Jade Warriors. I know it's just like the rank and file, but I love that they did the mountain armor, which we talked about in my Q&A stream, using a lot of these really cool ancient Chinese motifs. We see it all over the Sentinels, and it's a really, really, really cool pattern of scale armor. That oh wait, no, it's not on them. It's on these guys. It's on the Celestial Dragon Guard. So it's cool too to see Miao Ying. I thought we were going to also see Zhao in this, but apparently not, unfortunately. I guess, spoiler, sorry. Ooh, didn't mean to spoil the goods. Which they'll need in earnest to survive the coming storm. Here we go. Now, there's some little, not necessarily a move animation for Kairos, but he does have some cool little flair going about him. Some furls here and there. You see a soul grinder in the background. And this is what I was saying when I said you can get a sense for the scale here. Obviously, perspective is playing heavily into this shot right now. The Greater Demon in the background. He's clearly not going to be kneecap size for Kairos. But I think that Kairos looks to stand about a whole head taller than the normal Greater Demon, right? He does have a lot more of an ornate look to him and everything as well, so he is clearly going to stand out. And I think that that's good. I think we do want these Legendary Lord characters to be more characteristic than their non-Legendary Lord counterparts. I guess that kind of goes without saying, but still. I mean, look at him. He's looking badass. He's looking imposing. You get all the action in the background. What's really cool about this video is it's the first time I've seen Tzeentch Warriors look actually good. And we'll see it in a second here. It's their only Tzeentch Warrior unit, I think, in the Tzeentch Demon roster. Uh-oh, there they are. Oh my god, what a frame to stop on. Actually, I think we see one right. Yeah, okay, this is the better angle right there. So this is a solid angle for the first time too. We get a really cool look at their shields, which are very Tzeentchian and very ornate looking. Later on, when they jump into the actual siege, you'll see a cooler look of them. And I don't think it needs to be much more than this. I know a lot of people are very concerned about the warriors, and it's been something that we've all been talking about a lot. I know Indie Pride and I are hung up on this because we want the same treatment that Khorne warriors got with the Tzeentch warriors. But I think that once you see them on the actual siege map, it looks much stronger. See, like, look at that boom, like that is looking pretty good. I'm very stoked with that overall look. Now, these aren't like Tzeentch chosen, we don't know, of course, but their capes are really good and reminiscent. You know, that's kind of what I want, plus a little bit of eye glow. You know, just make their eyes glow and I'll be happy all of a sudden. So if we get these guys on foot in some way, shape, or form, and they have Tzeentch chosen, and they have these cool purpley blue glowing eyes, I'll be into it. Kairos here, like, I wonder if that was an actual Kairos, like, bound ability or actual ability of his, like we saw in the other trailer. He just shot these cascading magic missiles out. It was sweet. And I'll link you guys to the actual. Oh, there's that soul grinder. I'll link you guys to the actual video if you want to hear everything. For the most part, I'm not really talking over anything important mechanically that he says. When he jumps into these spells, I'll turn up the volume on it. But for the most part, he's just kind of creating a narrative behind what's going on. Nothing he's discussing is overly crazy or important. Dude, look at that soul grinder. Look at that thing, man. It has like it has a very clearly distinction between like Tzeentchian and like a Khorne one, which I believe we saw in the Khorne roster reveal, where the Khorne roster reveal one I think had a different weapon or something. But look at this guy, like he has this cool beak, he's got this glowing orb, he's very obviously Tzeentchian, and I love that. Oh, so sick. So we get the crane gunners already shooting off here. Everything kind of moving in. We get the exalted, not screechers, flamers there. That's not even the right name for them either. My brain's not there. But it's cool to see these rockets going off. You can see, whoa, so they get actual rockets and the crane gunners on the bigger bad boy Kongmin lantern. So that's pretty cool. And I'm really curious to see too how much damage those rockets do. I mean, obviously it's probably going to be very similar to the Empire rocket battery, but I wonder if there's a distinction. Again, too, you can see very ornate looking from that angle. Very cool. I like it a lot. We get the crossbowmen, and then we get the Tzeentchian Chaos Spawn, which look great as well. So this is the shot I was talking about. And I'll be honest, the Jade Warriors kind of have a funky run animation. Watch this. Obviously, we're in pre-production, so it's kind of an unfair statement to make here. But they kind of have like a little bit of like a I got shit in my pants. I just want to get out of this armor. Like they kind of have a weird look to me. But the big focus here is these guys. A lot of silver and filigreed gold all over their etched armor, which is again very Tzeentchy. I like it a lot better of an angle there. And again, this is a better shot for scale on Kairos compared to the other greater demon. Not much larger, but I'd say larger enough to make a distinction, especially when you look at those wings by difference. And I like the sword and board version of the Jade Warriors looking really sick here. Oh man, so you just had your back to that, buddy. Not many of the chariots in this video. Not many of the burning chariots of Tzeentch I've seen. Okay, so let's turn this up now because she talks about her magic and abilities.
She casts Talons of Night to cover the retreat of her archers and crossbowmen, and Wrath of the Storm to bolster the might of her readying Jade Warriors.
So I've watched the video before we started. I did not notice that. Look at Talons of Night. It almost looks Tzeentchian.
Casts Talons of Night to cover the retreat of her archers and crossbowmen, and Wrath of the Storm to bolster the might of her readying Jade Warriors.
So Wrath of the Storm probably increases melee attack and weapon strength. Who knows? It seems to be what it would do.
Meanwhile, Kairos Fateweaver instructs his minions to bring down the fortress gates.
Boom! Did you see this? That's how I think the Soul Grinder uses range combat. So take a look at that. Look how that works too. That's a great animation.
To ensure his own
it like shoots one, then other four go into it. Like that looks so cool. I'm gonna do it one more time.
to bring down the fortress gates. To ensure
That is
his own
rad.
survival, he selfishly casts Oracle of Eternity to reinforce his resistance and gaze
Ah, so it boosts spell and or magic resistance, I bet. Maybe even physical resistance in addition.
of fate to counter Miao Ying's boost to her Jade Warrior's effectiveness.
And so I wonder if that is a debuff or it removes positive effects on units. Because I don't think we've seen anything in Total War Warhammer yet that can straight up remove a positive effect as a spell. Like, hey, I've cast a spell and it removes all of your positive effects. Which would be pretty cool. And that's all for spells, unfortunately. We'll bring us back down. And you get the Soul Grinder kind of pumping in here. Look at that shot. That's why it's the thumbnail. Oh.
She falls back, retreating to her barricades, where already crossbowmen and
And again, we get an example of the barricades coming down and being reassembled, and how the gates don't need to be the only thing that you're trying to essentially. I mean, we all know in Total War Warhammer 1 and 2, as soon as the enemy gets to the gates, just leave the wall and then pepper them as they kind of march into the wall. Now it's these siege maps seem to be deeper and there's more meaning, right? Obviously, because you've got the barricades and stuff you can erect, so you can create these killing fields and other little portions of the actual map itself. So there's way more layers to it that seem indicative of a longer, more grueling siege fight, which I'm all about. I just kind of worry about. Here's the thing I worry about with siege mechanic improvements, because yes, sieges should always be better in a game called Total War anything. And they were great in Rome 2, they were fun as hell in Medieval. I mean, you've had so many different types of... Dude, look at all those actions. Look at this right here. That and then this. Dude, just getting vomited upon. Oh, look at this ability too from... I think Kairos just used it. Right there next to that big, huge tower. Damn, that is sick looking. It might be because purple's my favorite color, and while Tzeentch isn't all purple, there's like blues and purples and cascading pinks and everything into it. It all just looks so awesome to me. Alright, now we get a little taste of that transformation. Here we go. She's got that Cruella de Vil hair. She's going wild. She's like, where are my goddamn Dalmatians? And she's just going at all of these blue and pink horrors. Like, that is sweet. I really want to know what her abilities are like, though, in dragon form. Does she have any bound abilities? That had mentioned, I think, a dragon breath attack. I don't know if she can even use her spells as a dragon. It's a very interesting query. I really like to get answered from CA. But like I was saying, it's cool to have all these awesome expanded... what is this back here? Expanded mechanics for sieges. But I do worry about jumping into too many sieges that have these deep siege maps where, okay, we've fought the walls, now let's recall back into the actual quote-unquote keep portion it to defend this hard point and make these barricades. While that is fun and that's cool, I want it to have a gravitas. I want it to make it so that, you know, if I am defending... Oh, that was a cool shot. I like this one, dog, too. Look at that. Kairos is such a great looking model here. I want sieges to mean something, and I don't want to be fighting these long, prolonged sieges against a quarter stack of a rebel army because I don't want to auto-resolve, because I'm afraid if I auto-resolve, I'll lose a location. If I lose a location, I then have to divert an army to it to go and clean it up. I think like there's definitely a double-edged sword to siege mechanics in that them being expanded can also make it slow down the pace of the game. So I think that kind of comes with a fixed and better and stronger auto resolve, which I hope we're going to see in Warhammer 3, which we have started to see now at the end of Warhammer 2, you know, where we can get indications of what's going to die if I hit auto resolve, so I can make a more educated decision on whether or not I want to auto resolve. So I hope that stands true in Warhammer 3, because it did not at the beginning of Warhammer 2. Warhammer 2 used a build of Warhammer 1 that was several patches and DLC releases prior to the end of Warhammer 1. This resulted in Norska code refactor that they had to do and a number of other things that were in Warhammer 1 at the end that didn't translate into 2. I hope we don't get to see that here in 3. I hope that everything that is at 2 right now, at this point, makes it into 3 with improvements on top of it, including like lighting and stuff like that, which they've said that they've done. So this kind of concludes our video here for today, guys. We go through some more stuff. It just shows off and it says, "This is a herald of things to come. Bad stuff for Cathay," because Kairos Fateweaver is just casually walking off like he's going to go validate his car and then pick it up or something like that. So, again, awesome to see Miao Ying's transformation here. I did like really seeing more about those actual spells and their spell effects. Those were some badass effects, especially for the for Cathay. So I'm really stoked to finally be able to hopefully dive in on this game in the next month or two for some sort of gameplay preview. We don't know. I do just want to play the hell out of it so bad. I really do. I think more than anything now, I think this is kind of the same for all of us, right? As soon as we see this, we're like, great, cool. So what does Slaanesh look like? What does Nurgle now look like? Like, how hard do the Slaanesh demonettes tweak their nipples while they're idle? Like, I want to know even more. I want to get all of the races out of the way so I can just know exactly what we're going to be dealing with. And that's just because I'm super hyped up and I want to get my hands on it. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. If you have any questions, go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. But let me know, how are you feeling about things? Do you like the way Tzeentch is portrayed here? Do you feel that Cathay is a pretty cool, strong-looking force? How do some of these siege mechanics play out for you? What are your thoughts about some of those spell effects, everything? By all means, go ahead and leave a comment below. Love to hear your opinion, guys. Hopefully, too, we'll get that Khorne mechanic reveal this week and maybe a Tzeentch roster reveal this week. I think for the most part, in this video now, I said this in the last video and everyone said, "Hey, the Soul Grinder's there too, buddy." I'm like, yeah, it's not in that video. In this video, I think we've seen every single thing that's going to be in the Tzeentch roster, for the exception of the Burning Chariot, which was in the last video. So we've seen stuff in a lot of different variations in this one, but not every little thing, I would imagine. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, all that fun action. But have a good one and take care.